Captain's Log, Episode 48. This week's episode of the Beer Vengers podcast is sponsored by Astoria Beer and Cheese Ditmars, located at 35-11 Ditmars Boulevard in Astoria, Queens. Get your tickets now for the first ever Boss Lady Brews event on October 16th from 7 to 10 p.m. Help us celebrate the amazing women behind some of New York's finest craft brew and cider houses, including Fifth Hammer, Graft, Hudson North, Interborough, Wild East, and more. $55 gets you open bar, food, prizes, and the opportunity to meet the brewers and taste some of their newest releases. 10% of all ticket sales go to the Lilith Fund and will be matched by 12% Beer Project. Enjoy the eclectic array of craft beer, artisanal cheeses, and specialty grocery items at Astoria Beer and Cheese Ditmars, home bar to yours truly, Captain Porter Brown Stout. Also sponsored by the Pony Bar at 1444 First Avenue on Manhattan's Upper East Side at the corner of 75th Street. Open since 2009, the Pony Bar is one of New York City's craft beer pioneers, the first bar in New York City to exclusively pour American brewed beer, and of course, the birthplace of the Beer Vengers. Check out their new extended happy hour from 4:20 to 6:20 Tuesday through Friday, and on Mondays enjoy all-day happy hour plus $2 tacos. This week, Captain Beer Wonder welcome a very special guest, Dan McLaughlin, owner of the place where our beer personas were formed, the Pony Bar. We waited 48 episodes to have the proprietor of the place where I've personally logged close to 600 unique pours because we wanted to wait until we were truly ready. Whether we were properly prepared is your call, but we want to thank Dan for 12 years, so far, of the Pony Bar and a fascinating and revealing interview. Stay gold, Dan. Remember to like, star, and subscribe whenever that feels appropriate. And send us your emails at thebeervengers@gmail.com if you have any questions, suggestions, or if you just like hearing us talk about you on the show. And now, without further ado, please enjoy episode 48, Straight from the Pony's Mouth.
Well, we're the Beer Vengers, Beer Vengers, Beer Vengers.
We're the Beer Vengers.
Welcome to the Beercast, everyone. Coming to you from an undisclosed location in Astoria, Queens, I am Captain Porter Brown Stout.
And coming to you from an undisclosed location in the County of Kings, it is I, the Beer Wonder.
And we are
The Beer Vengers.
Yeah, that's right. We are the Beer Vengers. You're the Beer Vengers. We're all the Beer Vengers. We're really excited to be with you today, especially because we have a long sought-after guest on the show.
Yes, indeed.
Anyone who knows anything about beer in New York and definitely been listening to the podcast, you know about the Pony Bar on the Upper East Side, and we are very happy to have with us the owner, the proprietor, the man behind the beer, Dan McLaughlin, here on the show today, and and welcome to the show, Dan.
Glenn, thank you so much for having me. It's real great to be on. Been a long time.
Yes, it has. It's been a long time. It's been a long time since I've been going to the Pony. Been a long time since, but we've been able to hang out there as much as we like to. But I'm glad the Pony's still hanging in there. We talk a lot about the places that have been struggling, and I know you have as well. But I'm glad you're there.
Thanks. Yeah, we're glad too. I'm too long in the tooth to do anything else in life, so this is it.
How you doing today, Beer Wonder?
I'm living my best indoor life one day at a time. I can't believe it's almost October.
Yeah.
What is that? I mean, I'm almost ready for my pumpkin beers. Almost there.
If only the weather would cooperate.
I know. Well, it was supposed to be like in the low or high 20s or 20s, 60s today. So I was like, yeah, great. I'll open up a pumpkin beer. But yeah, it's getting to be fall. I can't believe it. And how are things in the captain's world?
Oh, they're good. They're good. I've been staying mostly local lately, but I'm still looking forward to that big festival we're all
Oh,
going to
that's
head
true.
to end of the week.
Yes, indeed.
We've got a great show. We got Fresh Pours. We got Dan, obviously, and
Yes.
I'm sure something about the week in beer will probably pop up and whatever else
It tends to.
we've inspired you. Before we do any of those, I think it's time to get to the pours, isn't it?
Clearly. And, here's the thing. It is only polite if our long sought after guest
All right.
takes the first pour today.
Well, absolutely. I wouldn't have it any
So
other way. We're not even going to do the bit. Yeah, Dan,
Yeah,
what do you have
we're just
there?
jumping straight in on this one.
I'm excited to have this. This
Ooh.
is from Drowned Lands. Drowned Lands is
Nice.
in
Okay.
the Warwick area of upstate New York or downstate New York, depending on where in New York State you are. But if you're in the city, one of the 5 boroughs, then it's upstate New York. It's near Newburgh. But Drowned Lands, this is a fruited sour IPA. It's 7.5%. I think it's got some lactose in it. It definitely has a lot of fruit.
Nice.
Yeah, vanilla, mosaic, pink guava, and raspberry. It's 7.5%. It's probably going to have a bit of a pink hue on the pour. We got Pony.
Ooh, exciting.
Well, let's see that. Yeah,
And in our beautiful pony teku, love it.
yeah.
Oh yeah, super pink. Look at that. Oh, it,
That's
it
nice.
real intensely pink, and very slight head production. Looks like it's gonna
But
have
it's
some
there,
bigger
it's
bubbles
healthy.
there. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's sticking around. Oh, that looks
I
fantastic.
need to get you guys a couple of these glasses next time I see you on the Upper East Side. You know?
Oh, that'd be
Absolutely.
great. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I feel like, well, Beer Wonder, you let me go
Yes,
first last time,
of
so I think,
course.
and I also I should mention, as you have heard at the top of this show, not since we've been talking, but what I'll be recording after we do this. This show is co-sponsored. As always, we're sponsored by Astoria Beer and Cheese Ditmars, but this week we are also co-sponsored by the Pony Bar. And the Pony Bar has Dan and the Pony Bar have supplied us with all our beers today. So every beer you see on the show today will be a
Sponsored pour.
That's right, a sponsored pour from the Pony Bar.
Oh my goodness.
All right. Let's
This
see what you have there.
Dreams come true, Captain, don't they?
Yeah.
So here's the thing. I'm starting out with a beer I am very excited about. It's the Lawson's Finest Liquids Super Session number 8 Mosaic. So thank you, Dan, for this one. It is a session style IPA that is described as tasty and quaffable. And if you're a longtime listener, you know how much I love that word. So let's check out how quaffable this thing actually is.
Absolutely. Let's see it.
All right. Good
And very
crack.
nice crack.
Thank you.
Oh, very nice color there.
Good gold,
Look-
kind of strawish color. We're getting solid head build up on that.
Yeah, not as hazy as I thought it might be.
No, pretty clear, nice and
Yeah,
clarified.
it's a little. Very good.
Yeah. And right off the nose, the quaffability is evident from the get go.
What's the ABV on that one?
I mean, it's just a casual 4.8, so I might have
Okay.
to. We'll see.
Very good, very good. Well, I also have. I'm not going to play the sound again, but another sponsor pour from the Pony Bar that Dan graciously gave me. It's from Greenpoint, and
Mm.
this is the Yes Man Keller
Ooh.
beer. Had a lot of really
Ah.
great stuff from Greenpoint. So I'm especially looking
Yeah,
forward
yeah.
to this one. And there we go.
Good
Right.
crack on that one. Oh, nice.
And pouring this into a while back when there were 2 Pony Bars,
Yes.
one on when the one on the in Hell's Kitchen closed. You sold a lot of the glassware because it wasn't all going to make the trip. So that is why I have this original Pony glass.
Is that the 8-ounce beer, 8-ounce glass? It is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
There we go.
Oh, that's a classic right there. Look at that. Okay, so good head production on this one. Clear, fairly clear, yeah. Nice.
Fairly so, yeah.
Okay.
For it was Zwickel or Keller or whatever your
Mhm.
preferred is there. But yeah.
Nice.
All right. Well, I think it's time,
Cheers,
gentlemen.
Sláinte.
Cheers.
Thank you
Cheers.
very much.
Kampai.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, it's a really nice fermented lager.
Ethan, what glass is that you're using right there?
This is a glass that says
Is that-
pie
is that a
on it.
pizzeria in Chicago?
It is a pizzeria in Chicago,
funny, yeah.
yes, and a few other areas, yes. No, I have ever since I was a kid. I was obsessed with the number pi. I memorized it, I think, in like 10th grade for extra credit in math class.
So how
and
many digits?
100 digits. Only
Okay.
100, yeah. I mean, it's nothing. But because of that, there's always a pie glass in my collection, and this just happens to be the one that has been making its way through
We had
at this point.
so I recognize that logo as this in the early
Yeah.
days, probably 2009, 2010 in Hell's Kitchen. Somebody bought us a growler from there, and it sat on display for a long time, for years and years and years. I don't know what became of it, but I did know. I knew it was a pizzeria. I think that's a brilliant name for pizzeria.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
I also think.
Absolutely.
Of course it is.
I also think a great name would be like 3.14 would be and just as people
Yes.
see, it might be lost on a lot of people, but maybe not.
Or like if everyone called it pie, but the logo just said
Yeah,
3.14.
right.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you know where it is. You know pie, right?
I think
Makes it
certain cities would pick up on that. Smaller towns further afield may not be as savvy, you know.
It depends. Yeah, it's all like whether you're
Yeah,
in the know.
exactly right. Exactly right.
I feel a new Pony Bar spin-off concept coming, because honestly, pizza and beer are the ideal combo. So
They are the ideal-
all right, watch out.
They
Right?
are the ideal combos, and I did get the merit badge for pizza and beer a number of years ago. I did, yeah. 2014, 2015, when we opened a concept called Kiabaka Pizza, which I believe is no longer, and it was pizza.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it did not survive but I enjoyed that place.
It was
a lot.
popular. It had its fans. People either loved the pizza and thought our beer selection could have been better, or they thought the beer selection was amazing and the pizza was just so. But I did try the pizza and beer, and I may try it again in the future. We'll have to see. You know, I love pizza. Who doesn't?
How can you not?
I do too. I realized I didn't say it. This Zwickau, depending on your this Zwickel Keller or Land beer, is a 4.6%.
Ooh,
Perfect for starting out your afternoon drink.
exactly.
It is.
Exactly.
It is.
It's the beginning of the 420 period over at Pony Bar for sure. Although it's a little early today for that. It's okay. Day drinking is always acceptable. Well, Dan, tell us about your beer. Tell us a little bit about the brewery. How's it tasting? What are you smelling? All that.
I'm getting some. I think it's lactose, but I don't see lactose on the can. I do see vanilla on the can, so that's probably what it is. I've had this beer a couple of times in the past. Big Drownlands fan. We try to pour their stuff at the Pony Bar when it's available. In fact, we have a keg of their Hefeweizen on right now.
Oh, nice.
I think it's called Gather, and that's their wheat beer. We do a lot with their cans. We do a lot of their double IPAs, their sour IPAs, their fruited sours, and then, if available, their regular IPAs. But they have a pretty wide portfolio right now. But their stuff's exceptional. It sells really well. It's one of these breweries that has limited distribution, and it's sort of too far to go to on a regular basis. You know, it's probably an hour and change outside the city. You know, so.
Yeah, Huck had one of their beers on a little while ago. I think he had gotten it straight from the source. They'd been on a
bar
trip
was that?
up there. Oh, the Drownlands. He'd been to the brewery itself.
Yeah. I've tried on a couple of occasions to make it up there, but they're only open, I want to say, Thursday through Saturday, or Thursday through Sunday, maybe.
Yeah.
And they don't. They're limited, obviously, with COVID and everything, and it's really limited hours.
Yeah.
But I will get there sooner than later. I'll probably get there certainly before Christmas, but looking forward to checking it out. So, their beers are very well received. They sell quickly. You know, I think one of the reasons why they sell quickly is that not everybody has them. They're sort of
right.
True.
We have a pretty adventurous clientele that'll try stuff they're not familiar with. So those usually.
Yeah, I think that was certainly one of my appeals of the Pony to begin with, because I wasn't familiar with a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And so once I started, I always wanted to say, like, you know, that's excitement when we ring the bell and everyone yells out new beer.
New beer.
And I'm like, okay, I like some of the stuff on the list, but what's going up now?
Yeah. When we had the old slats.
Yes.
Back in the day.
Sliding.
When we went to a digital screen in 2011, the spring of 2011, after being open for 2 years, we sort of gave those slats away via Facebook, and anybody that wanted them could say, I want this, or I want that, I want this, you know.
Yeah.
And that's how we got rid of them. And then people over the years have posted them from their wherever they put them up, and I've seen them. You know, people have moved to Pittsburgh, they've moved to Los Angeles, they've moved home to wherever they're from, in St. Louis, and they've put these slats up. You know, the brewery, the beer, the ABV.
Yeah.
And then it's pretty wild. You know,
So tell me, Beer Wonder, what do you think of the Lawsons there?
I mean, it's delicious. I know Dan picked these for us, and so I'm a little curious to know a little bit from you, Dan, about what you know about Lawson's Finest Liquids. I've done a little research. I know they're Vermont based, and that their sessions sort of specialize in different styles of hops. This one very much tastes like Mosaic hops. It's got that earthiness, it's got that pininess, a little bit of that spice, a little bit of a nice fruit undertone. It's going down way easier than it should. I have now refilled the glass, so clearly it's heading back down. But I could absolutely. This is sort of. It's got that spice quality that I like, especially as we're moving into fall temperatures. That kind of warms you up a little bit more. It's not the juicy fruity bomb thing. It's a little bit more spicy, earthy, which I'm digging.
Lawson's
So-
is a very popular brewery. They're new. They're not new to New York City now, but they've been in the market probably 3 years or 4 years.
Yeah, I remember that for a while they were on that same list with
Yes.
Hetty Topper of like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
Mhm.
the Holy Grail
It
kind of
was.
a thing.
It was
Yeah.
like the Trinity. It was Alchemist, which is the Hetty Topper crew, Hill
Yeah.
Farmstead, and Lawson's. And it was like the
Mhm.
Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. And the only way to get these beers was to drive 4 days to Vermont through the wood,
Mhm.
Yeah.
camp out, wait in line in the rain, and then get these beers and come back. And
Yeah.
but now they're readily available. They have distribution in the city. They're with a good company called Serene. Their beers sell really well. They're great. They're sort of known for their
Yeah.
hop forward beers or IPA. The Sip of Sunshine's their
Mhm.
flagship.
Right.
We get them on quite a bit. Right now today we're offering their Pilsner in cans, Scrag Mountain Pilsner, which is was a new beer for them, I think, or was new to distribution, I should say. And
Mhm.
we'd never had anything that wasn't hop forward from them, so I grabbed it when I saw it, and selling well.
Yeah, it's a terrific beer, and I know I've had their Sip of Sunshine. It's pretty spectacular, so it's nice to see them continuing to innovate. I think I actually have had Sip of Sunshine probably at
It's
the
very
Pony.
possible.
Uh,
It's very possible.
Seems very likely. Yeah.
Yes.
We used to
All
pour
right.
more frequently in the past, but we do still
Mhm.
carry their products. In 2010 at BCTC at that Belgian comes to Cooperstown thing in Brewery Omegan,
Right.
I had the good fortune to camp sort of adjacent to Sean Lawson, the owner of Lawson's, and
Oh, nice.
even then he was really ahead of the curve on the vision of what he wanted from his brewery. So yeah, really nice guy. I've seen him a couple times since. When they used to do super limited drops in the city on kegs, we always usually got one.
Mhm.
But now their stuff's readily available. I think some of their more common beers, like the Super Session and the Sip of Sunshine, I think they're contract brewed out of Two Roads in Connecticut. But everything
Okay.
else, I think, comes primarily out of their brewery in Waitsfield, Vermont.
Yeah, this one
Very
does appear
good.
to be based on the can. It does look like it was coming out of Connecticut, which makes sense. But
Yes.
yeah,
Well,
as
they
they're-
got to expand it. Otherwise,
they
it's
got to
never going to make it
expand.
this far.
Otherwise,
yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're all going to be camping in the woods for 4 days to try and get our favorite
They have
beers. So
And that's fun once, but
Yeah, it's good to do that and get that merit badge and then move on.
well, fortunately, Dan, the one you gave me is one that's a little easier to find. I can actually get to this place on a
Yep.
bicycle. Is Greenpoint Brewery. It's
Mhm.
funny. They haven't always been quite at the forefront, mostly because their beers, including this one, aren't necessarily the first style I always gravitate towards. And it's always good to find one. Like, for instance, earlier this summer, we did their White Boy
Yep.
Summer,
Yep.
which I was drawn to because it was just a hilarious name,
Yep.
and the can art was fantastic. And it was a really great beer. I recently also had their current Oktoberfest Marzen style is a really good one, and
Yep.
this one I'm really enjoying as well. It's got I kept trying to look up exactly what is a Keller beer. I know that it is a bottom fermented lager, and so because it's bottom fermented and because it also has that some kind of extra funkiness that's like not dissimilar for some of the stuff I get in the Belgian beers, I think. Not quite as strong, but definitely a little funkier than your average lager because it's been fermenting down in the cellar, which is I found out that's what Keller beer means, is cellar beer.
Greenpoint Beer Works out of they did an expansion recently. They were on a 5-barrel system for a number of years, and they lost their lease. They had to relocate. When they relocated, they went to a larger 20-barrel system, so their stuff is more readily available.
Mm.
Their beers are incredible. Again, a lot of their stuff is hop forward. But the last year or two, their Oktoberfest, I tried to order it twice. It sold out twice.
Oh yeah.
But we usually grab a lot of their stuff. They're great people to work with. I've actually never been there to their facility. Well, not the new one, but it's on my list. You know.
Yeah, this was one night a couple months ago, and we were all hanging out in Brooklyn at Grimm, and we decided, well, let's go somewhere else. And Interboro was closing up early, so we said, let's head over to Greenpoint.
Yeah.
So we just went there for like just a one quick beer at the end of the night, and I look forward to going back for a more extended stay.
Yeah, they in the city they still self distribute, so they're usually around the Upper East Side on Wednesdays, and then I would say out of every brewery in New York City that self distributes, we do more business with them than any other one.
Yeah,
we do a lot with Grimm, but they have a distributor. We do an awful lot with Threes, but they also have a distributor. So.
All right. Well, Dan, I know we've actually teased out a little of your story already, but I think it's about time to get your
Origin story.
That's right. It's time to hear the origin story of Dan and the Pony Bar. A lot of times we go all the way back to when someone first experienced beer, but that might be too far back for you, considering how much history you have. So I'm curious, maybe to start with, how you got involved with beer professionally and how the personal and professional intersected.
What happened was I started bartending in college in 1992 at this really iconic bar in Syracuse. At the time, it was brand new. Last week, they celebrated their 30th anniversary. Still open.
Wow.
Same guy still owns it, my former boss. It was
Amazing.
a brand new bar in a brand new part of town. The name of the bar is called Mulrooney's, here in Syracuse, New York, and it was in a new neighborhood that was just starting out called Armory Square. We only had 7 beers on draft, and we were the only bar in Syracuse to do the 20-ounce Imperial pints. And the beers we had on tap were Guinness, Bass, Harp, Woodpecker Cider, Michelob, Labatt Blue, and Labatt Blue Light. And it was sort of at the time more of an upscale clientele. We were across the street from Cooper's Library, and we were across the street from Bond Schoening King Law Firm. So it was a really white collar hang, and it was incredibly popular from the get go. So I had a chance back in like 1991, 1992 to try Guinness, which I'd never seen anywhere else, and try Bass Ale, which was really, Bass Ale for me was a real gateway beer. Harp lager.
Yeah, similar for me in the early 90s and maybe even a little of the late 80s. That was like before the craft beer really existed. Bass Ale and Newcastle were always my go-tos.
And so I worked there for 2.5 years in college, and in 1994, also in Syracuse, Empire Brewing Company opened, and I left that job at Mulrooney's and got the job as sort of a head bartender, bar manager at Empire Brewing Company in 1994, and the beers were really unique. It was a 7-barrel system. I was hooked.
Yeah.
Within less than a year of opening, we won our first GABF medal for our Hefeweizen. And then for 3 years in a row after that, we won back-to-back golds for our Kolsch. So you're talking wheat beers and Kolsches and different stuff back in the mid-90s in Syracuse, which was really ahead of the curve. And it was really at the forefront of what people were doing back then.
Yeah, I'll say.
And we were crazy busy. And the only place you can get these beers, we didn't sell any kegs. We didn't have any beer to sell. You had to come to the brewery. The brewery was 3 deep. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights. It was crazy busy, and I was doing 5 nights a week. And I learned early on that a lot of people didn't know about this stuff. They didn't know. Maybe they'd heard it was made there, or maybe they didn't know. Nobody really knew the process. This is really early on in the early days of this, and I learned that I found the more I knew about our product, the more people were drawn in, and it was really easy to engage them because it's interesting stuff, and you're there for the beer, and you're like, as a customer, you're learning firsthand about this exciting new thing from somebody like me, who at least appeared knowledgeable. And I found the more I knew, the more I could articulate what we were doing and why we were doing it, the more engaged people were, and we had an incredibly captive bar audience. It helped that the beers were good or great,
Sure. That you can draw them in with a unique experience and keep them there. Effectively,
exactly. And our food was really good, and the 2 guys that owned it really hit the ground running. And around this point, other brew pubs started popping up. It was that late 90s brew pub craze started to take off.
Mhm.
And not everybody's beers were very good. Some people had amazing food and beers were terrible. Some people had good, better beer. The food was so-so. After I graduated from Lemoyne in 1996, Empire opened a larger brewery in Rochester, New York, a 15-barrel system.
Okay.
And they said, "You want to go?" I said, "Yeah, I'll go. I'm not, I'll go." And I went, and it was great. It was a great experience. I was there
Yeah.
about a year and a half or so, and they were going to do a third brewery in Buffalo, which they eventually did. But I left the company before then. And in 1997, 98, I moved to New York City. Yep,
Okay.
I moved to New York City, and I was really struggling. I was really sort of trying to find my footage, as anybody that would move to New York City. Like
Right.
back then, 20 plus years ago, 25 years ago, it was an expensive city to live in, but not like it is today.
It's about the same time I
Okay,
moved here.
So it's always been an expensive city, but not like now. Not with
Yeah.
me. I moved there, and I was really struggling, and I went home to Syracuse, and I was out and about, and I ran into one of my friends from college, and he said, "How's it going?" I said, "It's not going so hot. I've been here not quite a year, and I had some okay bartending jobs." But he says, "You should contact, Brian Yossi." I said, "No." He was 2 years ahead of us at Lemoyne. He's a partner in a bunch of bars. Like he may have a job. I don't know. So I didn't know him, but one of the bars he was an investor and a partner and a working partner was a bar called the Blind Tiger, and so
Okay.
We know them well.
I was waiting for this part of the story because
Yes.
I knew that was part
Yeah.
of your thing. I've never heard all of it from you.
I went in there, and they weren't hiring ever. It was one of those
Yeah.
one of those jobs somebody sort of has to die. But they did have other bars. They had at the time they had 4 bars and were opening their 5th bar. And when I
Okay.
moved,
And which location was this at
The
the time?
original.
Because it's not the current
the
location.
original
right?
location,
Okay.
which was on the corner of 10th and Hudson, across the street from the Cowgirl Hall of Fame, which is still there.
Right.
They moved. The Blind Tiger moved their last. They terminated operations there in December of 05, and then reopened in the new location in the spring of 07. So about a year and a half. So they said, "Look, we don't have anything at the Spring Lounge. We don't have anything at the Gate in Park Slope. We do have this new bar we're opening. It's open. It's called the Collins Bar. We can get you like 3 or 4 shifts
I
there."
remember that one.
And I was like, "Okay, yeah." I didn't care. I would have said yes to anything. I would have said yes to anything.
Yeah.
So I started working there, and that was an absolute bucket of blood. That was it was a real old school end of an era saloon. It was it was a huge shooting gallery, and we had locks on the ladies' room, but no locks on the men's room door, because guys would go in and shoot up, and somebody would go and use the restroom and say, "Hey, there's a guy with a syringe in his arm or a syringe." So I'd have to go and get this person out of the. It was an incredibly unique experience.
I'm
sure.
imagine.
That's amazing.
An incredibly unique time in New York City history. And
Yeah.
what was more amazing about this dump of a bar was that we had incredible beer on tap. We had 10 draft lines. We had Weiss Stefan, half of Weiss, and we had Guinness. And then we had 8 American, microbrews that rotated around. We usually did a bunch of stuff from Park Slope Brewing Company, which was where I think 6 Point eventually came out in Red Hook. We had a few Brooklyn lines. We always had a Chelsea line or two. We used to do a lot of stuff with like Red Hook out of the Pacific Northwest, Widmer Brothers out of the Pacific Northwest, Pyramid Brewing Company out of the Pacific Northwest. Like Mendocino, like just whatever was available. There wasn't a ton of stuff. This is like 1998, so there wasn't a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
Now, if this is the place I'm remembering, didn't they also have kind of a focus on whiskey as well? Like a big giant chalkboard behind the bar with all the different whiskeys they had?
A huge whiskey and rye chalkboard. And then they had another equally big, but not as in-depth, tequila selection of añejos, reposados, and Blancos. And it was. You remember this is the 90s, and it was sort of Times Square, and we had a staggering amount of prostitution that would come in, and we had a policy: prostitutes, you could talk to the guy on your left, or you could talk to your guy on your right. Well, if you spoke to
Yeah.
both of them, that's solicitation, and you have to go. That was our
Oh, wow.
policy. And on rainy nights, and it was a shoebox of a bar, and it was a shotgun. It
Yeah.
was like 4 feet wide. And on rainy nights or cold nights, one prostitute comes in and another and another, and I was saying, they're not working, they're drinking, they're incredibly generous tippers, and then here come their
Yeah.
employers looking for them, and then there's issues with them, and then there's issues with the Johns, and then you've got all these issues, and I'm just trying to sell Park Slope Nut Brown on tap for $4 a foot, and this guy shooting up in the bathroom, and my first night on the job, I was given a tire iron that was wrapped in electrical tape. They said, good luck, and they gave me the keys. I had just moved to New York City. Despite bartending for 6 years, it's not the same in New York, and I was handed a tire iron, and they said, good luck. That's all I said. Didn't say anything else.
Oh my gosh.
You couldn't do that anymore. You couldn't do that today,
No.
And
No.
so I worked there, and I started getting shifts at the Blind Tiger. Started getting shifts at the Spring Lounge and filling in, and then that was great. That was great. And I'd fill in at the Blind Tiger on my nights off. And people like my coworkers of sorts, the people I'd be bartending with, they'd be like, "You work at the Collins Bar? Where is it? Crazy there? It's totally crazy. It's like a circus."
Talk about paying your dues.
It was.
That to me, that's also like essentially to me like a New York story is no matter how good you are at your job and how many years you put in somewhere else, you get to New York on some level or another, you're going to have to start at the bottom. Not quite the bottom, but you're not going to. Your experience is only going to get you so far.
I thought I had a really good resume. 6 years, GABF brewery, head bartender, bar manager, all this crazy, and then nobody gives our ass. Nobody cares in New York City. Nobody cares what you did. They only care about what you're doing, And so I was also working at Empire Brewing Company in Rochester. We had this guy who was a regular customer. He had been a writer in New York for like Business Week. Retired, moved home. He's in his early 60s maybe. And he said, "I heard you're moving to New York City." I said, "Yeah, I'm going to move to New York City." He goes, "Look, one of my best friends is a guy named Dale DeGroff. He runs this bar called the Rainbow Room in Rockefeller Center." I'd never heard of it. I didn't know anything about anything. Mm-hmm. And he says, "Look, why don't you give me your resume and I'll get it to him?" And I had just made a resume because I was moving, and I got it to him. And then Dale reached out and said, "Look, why don't you come down? Why don't you come to the Rainbow Room and see me?" And I went thinking maybe I'll have a job at the Rainbow Room, which is a union shop. You're not going anywhere near it. I'm surprised they let me in the door.
Yeah.
And I went up and met with him, and he says, "Look, I'm looking for a personal assistant of sorts to help you on jobs, and it doesn't pay a ton of money, but it's fun." And I said, "Okay, well, I'm around. You have to have a suit. You have to wear a suit when you work with me." I said, "Yep, I've got a couple of suits. I got that." And Dale is sort of a crazy famous bartender. He's the king cocktail, and mixology is his thing. He sort of had the contract to bartend at the Penthouse Mansion on the Upper East Side, which was owned by Bob Guccione, the founder of Penthouse Magazine and General Media. So whenever not a lot of advertisers would advertise in adult content branded stuff, you'd have tobacco, liquor, tobacco and liquor, and a few other things. So whenever there was like Crevassier would come out with a new spirit, they'd do a blowout party at the Penthouse Mansion. So I'd get to go and put my suit on and go bartend at the Penthouse Mansion, which was wild. There's another wild story. And, it was great. Dale helped me get my first job in the city, and he helped me find my footing, and we're still in touch to this day. And I'm eternally grateful to him and everything he did for me, as a favor to his friend who I really didn't know that well.
How do you get from being the personal assistant and chasing away prostitutes or pimps or whoever? I'm sorry, you said the more culturally sensitive managers, but all the colorful crew you had at the Collins Bar, and how did you make that transition to being a bar owner?
In between that whole late 90s nonsense and Lansdowne Road, which was 2006, was a massive window in my life called Puck Fair. And Puck Fair.
Oh yeah, I remember that place.
I left all the jobs, Dale and the Collins Bar and the Blind Tiger, I left everything behind to open this bar in May of 2000 called Puck Fair. And it's owned by the same guys that own
Okay.
Swift in the East Village.
Uh-huh.
They have Ulysses down in the financial district, and they have other bars now. They've expanded, but this was at the time their second bar, and they were looking for like a head bartender, bar manager, and I got the job. And that is where I had this love of American-made beer, which we didn't have at Puck Fair. Puck Fair was a machine, and it was one of the busiest bars in New York City. We did between 20 and 24 kegs of Guinness every week, week in, week out, year round.
Wow.
5 kegs of Stella, 5 kegs of Bass, 5 kegs of Harp, 3 kegs of Newcastle. This was, 5 kegs of Magner cider. This was that segue from what was commonplace. The imported beers were massive in New York. It's an import city. And
I mean, for the longest time until craft really took off, imports were the only thing someone who actually liked good beer could go for. There just weren't a lot of American options.
If you were into better beer, you'd go out and spend your time looking for Fullers, looking for Youngs, looking for that type of stuff that, the Schneider Weisses and the Weissefaners and all this stuff, because there wasn't like the American stuff didn't really exist. And the stuff that did exist wasn't really in New York City. Puck Fair was 6 years, time of my life. And then the connection was that all the bartenders, all of them, from Scruffy Duffy's, used to come to the Collins Bar for after hours. So they'd get done around 4:15 in the morning and come into the Collins Bar, and they were all from Ireland. They were all these young Irish guys, mid-20s, late 20s, early 20s, come in and drink till 6, 7, 8 in the morning. I left the Collins Bar, and that whole crew of these Irish guys followed me to Puck Fair. Puck Fair for years, I was the only American that worked there.
Oh, cool.
Everybody was from Ireland. And so from there, in the bar business, there's a big bit of reciprocation. You come and see me on your night off, and I go see you on my night off, or I bring my dates in, or you bring your dates in, or your folks are in from Ireland, you bring them to Puck Fair. So that's how I got to know my former business partner a little bit. And he owned Scruffy Duffy's, and he had a lease. He was going to do a second spot, and he had a guy who was going to be his partner. And at some point, it didn't come to fruition. I think his potential partner got cold feet. We were just getting ready to start construction, and my partner was scrambling to find somebody. I was looking to do my own place. I've been looking to do my own place for a long time. Never had enough money. It wasn't something I was going to be able to do alone. I had a partner. Had a partner, but we didn't really have any money. We had some money, and then we couldn't find a space. And so when I saw this opportunity, I jumped at it. And in September of 2006, we opened Lansdowne Road with the idea. At that point, I think Scruffy Duffy's was month to month on the lease. The building's being sold, and the high rise that's there today was eventually in the works back then. So we opened Lansdowne Road September of 2006. Scruffy Duffy's closed, I want to say February of 2008. So now my business partner is like, look, you want to do another bar? And I didn't really have any money, because all the money I had, which was substantial, I put into Lansdowne. And he's like, well, do you want to do it? I said, he says, do you have any ideas or any concepts? I said, I do. I have an idea, I have a concept, and I have a name. So I laid it out for him, and he liked the organization aspect. He didn't think American beer would sell in any capacity. He had at Scruffy Duffy's, he had 2 American beers. He had Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, and he had a beer from Chelsea Brewing Company. And he was like, look, Sierra Nevada doesn't sell. It sells what? 2 kegs a week, which was a lot. But when you're selling 18 kegs of Guinness a week, it doesn't really sell. But 2 kegs is nothing to sneeze at. It wasn't anything to sneeze at back then, nor is it today. 2 kegs a week of one beer is a good number. So he says, look, let's start looking around. So there had been a bad fire at the bar up the street, and it was, it was a really bad fire. Nobody was injured, but the business was damaged and not coming back. So we went and talked to the owners of the building, the father and son that owned it. And they said, look, we really don't want to put a bar there or a restaurant. We want to do retail. This was spring of 2008, and there wasn't any retail opening on 10th Avenue in any capacity.
Right.
So we went to them, and then they went up.
because of the aforementioned clientele.
Yes, exactly.
Still,
Yes.
And then they went out and got a broker, and then they were shopping the space for months and months, and we'd check in from time to time. And then finally they called us and said, "Look, why don't you come and talk to us about your idea?" So we told them. I told them, and they said, "Look, we want to give you the space because we see you 7 days a week next door. So we know you're going to be here.
right.
You're already here. You already have a thriving store. We want to give it to you." They gave us a decent deal on the rent, and they couldn't understand that we were not going to have a chef. We were not going to offer desserts. We were not going to do appetizers. We were not going to have table service. We're going to do 20 beers on tap, American made only. No, they couldn't wrap their head around the fact that we weren't going to have Heineken. There were going to be these giant boards, and they're like, the landlord couldn't envision it. And my partner's like, "Look, we'll give it 1 year. We'll give it 1 year." And here we are, almost 13 years later.
Well, I mentioned at the top of the show that if this is the first time we've heard the origin story of the Pony Bar, but the Pony Bar has factored greatly into many of our origin stories. You talked about, Guinness, or actually talking about Bass being your gateway. Yeah. The Pony was my gateway to the world of American craft beer. Because it was someplace you could go, and it was very overwhelming. Every time you take someone there for the first time, it's very overwhelming. Like, you just usually have to like order their first beer for them, say like and then sort of explain the whole menu system. But if they were, it was easy to hook someone once it didn't take much to figure it out. But it was because you had all the beers were the same, very reasonable price. They only differed in the size of the glasses, and I always loved that happy hour that you still have from 4:20 to 5:20. And my strategy was always order the short pours during the happy hour.
Yeah. And people still do that.
Yeah. But yeah, in fact, there's a soundbite we often play sometimes from the Belgian Babe is right here.
There's nutmeg in here.
Because this happened. There was a time when I was almost going to try and cut out the whole story, but we have enough material here. I don't think we would have room for that anyway. That's all about one time when she first met me. She thought she didn't like beer, and we experienced the Pony Bar together for the first time for both of us. I knew I liked beer better than she did, but I said, I heard about this place. It was probably a year or two after you opened, and we walked in, and within a year. We had signed up for a trip you were taking to Stouts.
Oh, yeah. That was their Winter Fest.
Yeah. And you had Allagash White on the bus. And I don't think she'd ever tasted a beer that had nutmeg in it. So she was like, it was a delightful surprise. There's nutmeg in here.
When we do these bus trips, we have to have beers that's accessible to everybody. We just can't have, 4 kegs of double IPA. First of all, we'll be all loaded when we get to wherever we're going. We have to have lower ABV stuff. But back to with the opening of the Pony, I was incredibly fortunate that I had phenomenal bartenders that were able to sort of see my vision and execute it as it was intended to be. We weren't beer snobs; we were beer enthusiasts, and nobody. Yes. It's because you're right, Glenn. It's intimidating to walk in and like, where's the Heineken? And
yeah. And I recall you had in addition to the 20 beers that no one may have heard of, in case anyone really couldn't get past that, you always had Budweiser.
We always had bottles of Bud
in a bottle.
Yes.
We stopped carrying Bud maybe 10 years ago, but we still to this day carry Bud Light. We don't promote it, we don't advertise it, we don't show up. If you ask for a Coors Light or a Stella or Bud, we do offer bottles of Bud Light, and they say, okay, I'll have that. And it's fine. It's fine. Like I said, we're not beer snobs, but I had great bartenders, phenomenal bartenders, that even if you weren't really into that beer, and if you really weren't into beer in general, we did have liquor, we do have wine, but it was meant to be a comfortable, inviting place with welcoming service. And I feel like a lot of our success came from that bigger picture. If we had just pigeonholed to beer, I think we would have been successful, but not as successful because we had these 5 great full-time bartenders that really nailed the execution. And, they did a phenomenal job in conveying the vision and making people feel comfortable. We weren't playing top 40. We weren't playing, You're not going to go in and have a Heineken and listen to Britney Spears. You're going to come in, you're going to have
Right.
some esoteric beer from a city you've never heard of, and you're going to listen to a B-side of the Allman Brothers. You know,
And at that point, no TVs with sports going on.
we
anymore.
always had the two TVs, and we still have two TVs. But
Oh, you did?
they're
Okay, yeah.
really
Yep.
not on unless you want them on. If you want them on, we'll put them on for you. Simply ask. If you come
Yeah,
in and
yeah.
like,
Okay, so there was some. It was not a focus, though, to
we
be sure.
do have
Not
them.
like it was at some other places.
Yeah, we do have them, and they're off unless somebody wants to watch.
Well, yeah, I think there's more at the second location. Now, yeah, I guess let's sort of go back a little bit. So the place we're talking about is at 45th and 10th. When did the second location? How many years in was that? Because I was there the night you opened, but I don't remember how many years
I
in it
think
was.
I have some photos of you actually. I could probably find.
Very likely, yeah.
If I look.
Well, yeah, it was so great because you have this system where if you drink 100 unique beers, you get the shirt and you get special privileges. And one of the privileges was you had the opening night bar with only people who had that
Yep.
shirt, and it was an open bar
Correct.
for all of us.
Absolutely.
It was great.
So we opened in April of.
Well-
sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, so because the All American program is one that like is known for, how did that come out, and how did that start? Sort of, what was the origin of
It
that?
started out of sheer panic that nobody was going to come to 10th Avenue. Now you got to remember back in 08, 09 when we were under construction open, all those high rises on 11th Avenue were not there. All those high rises further
Right.
south on 10th were not there. Some of the high rises further north on 10th and 11th were not there. There was no Hudson Yards. We were sort of on an island. And having been a bartender at the Blind Tiger, we had that connoisseur club, which I think was 51 different beers.
Okay.
And I was optimistic that if the three of us work together and you drink
Mhm.
vodka tonics, you'll drink whatever, and I'm into this craft thing. If I can get one person to start working on this card, it creates a larger connection to the place. And
Yeah.
people can come in, look at their cards, say, "Oh, I remember I came here that night. I was on a date. I never saw that person again." Or I came here, I was on a date, or I came. This is the day I got fired. This is the day I got my promotion, or this is the day I found out my wife was pregnant, or whatever. People.
Mhm.
I actually I have a couple friend who live in my neighborhood who had their first date ever. They're married now. They had their first date ever at the Pony Bar.
I don't know a lot about online dating, but I know that we're a really popular place for you swipe.
Yeah.
Is it Tinder? Yeah, and you swipe, and people will come in, and that's where they meet. And I've heard all these stories about. We met,
Oh, okay.
We had our first date at the Pony, and we're married. Pony had our 1-year anniversary party at the Pony Hell's Kitchen, open bar for all Americans.
Right.
Second anniversary was 2011. We held it at Lansdowne Road because we had so many people. Third
Right.
one was at the Upper East Side, which was the launch of the new store. We opened to the public in May
Yeah.
of 2012. So almost like
Okay.
3 years, almost to
Mhm.
the month that we opened Hell's Kitchen, and we did it with an All-American event that night.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're 9.5 years at the new location, which is not new anymore. It's just the newer.
Well, yeah, now it's the only. Yeah,
Yeah, it
now
is
it's
the-
the
it is
Pony
the
Bar.
bar.
It's like just like the Blind Tiger, they had the original thing, but they're still carrying on the spirit and a different address. When did it become the only address?
The
How long has
original
that been?
location closed. I think we announced it in December of 16, and we closed the public in January of 17. Yeah.
Okay, so it's been 4 going on 5 years.
Yeah, almost 5 years. Yeah, it was an arduous.
Now it's.
Go ahead.
And one of the things you seem to have changed with the new location is that it used to be just the draft and of course the Budweiser, if you were so inclined, and then you recently added, I don't, not recently, probably a year or so in, you started doing the Dan's cans
Yeah,
thing,
Yeah.
and that's what we're sampling
yeah,
today.
2018, I think. What was happening is that breweries were coming to New York with the city for the first time, and they weren't sending kegs;
Yeah.
they were sending cans, and people were
Mm.
coming in and saying, "Hey, do you have this? Do you have that? Do you have this?" And like breweries that you would know, like if you're in the beer world, there are breweries that you would know. I was like, "Oh no, we don't have this. We don't have that because we're draft only, and we were missing out." And I said, "Well, we have to try something. We have to." I didn't think they were going to sell. I said, "Let's get these cans in. They're all 16-ounce cans. Again, all American. We'll sort of see how they do." And they've done phenomenal for us because there's a ton of stuff, even from breweries in New York City, that will only release stuff in package. and so
Right.
you couldn't even get a keg. So you miss out on the whole thing if you don't do the can. So
Mhm.
Right.
so like this Drowned Lands I'm having today, I've never seen on draft. So
Right.
it worked out very well.
Yeah, I mean, I always see that when I go to places that are like part bar, part bottle shop. Even those places, they have a much larger selection of cans. But I always try and go for the draft first, mostly because that's the unique experience I can have in a bar.
Correct. And
Yeah.
more and more product is coming out cans only. A lot of that's pandemic
Mhm.
related. As
Yeah.
draft beer sort of
Sure.
went under the radar.
That may be part of the reason we're even seeing Drowned Lands here at
Correct.
all. I've seen a lot of
Yeah.
places there were more obscure breweries that are doing more distribution because they're just not. They can't. They used to sell it all at their location,
Yeah.
and now no one can go in there.
And
So
nobody's really
we're
traveling.
seeing it.
Nobody's driving anywhere like that, really.
Right. Right.
Yep.
So it's a different experience. So a lot of this stuff's become available to us in cans,
No, and I guess speaking of that, those particular phenomena, I know it's like for all of us, especially for any business owners of bars and other business owners as well. But that's what we're talking about now. I know it's been a rough year and a half for you guys at the Pony. I know you have that great little outdoor seating area there now. But even so, at one point, didn't you have to shut down for a few months, and then and even now you're open 6 days a week rather than 7, right?
Effective today, we went live for 7 days. So today's our first Monday being open.
Oh
Well,
wow.
it makes me so happy to have you here today to
Yes.
do that, to announce that, and we will
Hey,
certainly put that in
3
the intro.
o'clock we'll open on our first Monday in a long since before Christmas.
Oh,
Wow, that's awesome.
Congratulations! Yeah,
You're constantly dancing around the regulations and the stipulations of what people can and can't do, what businesses can and can't do, and then what customers can and can't do.
Right.
We closed March 16th, like the rest of the world, certainly the rest of America.
Mhm.
yeah.
After a couple months, we reopened towards the end of May just to sort of see what would happen.
Right.
I had some great kegs. I had some great kegs, and I had some cans. And I said, let me just open to the public and sort of see if anybody comes in. Because at the
Yeah.
time, all you heard about was 500,000 people left New York City. 500,000 people left New York City. But
Yeah.
the response was really positive. We were intermittently busy. Like we weren't busy enough to be open every day, but we were busy enough to be open 3 or 4 days a week from 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. And we'd be crazy busy for 6 hours. And, at 9 o'clock, you couldn't see anybody on the streets. We did that through the fall, and then it became obvious with the colder weather and with Governor Cuomo saying no more inside dining in New York City. We closed again, and we reopened March 10th. And things have been pretty good. They haven't been great, but we're paying the bills and we're hanging in there. I'm incredibly fortunate that I've got some great bartenders. They want to be there, and
You sure
take their
do.
best
Yeah, we were just in there when we went in to pick up this beer. It was Jen and Courtney, wasn't it?
Jen and
Yeah,
Courtney,
well,
yeah, they were fantastic.
Yeah, Courtney's amazing. Jen's great. I'm lucky that I have the crew that I have. The people, because not everybody came back.
Yeah.
So
Right.
but the people
Right.
that are there wanted to come back, and I wanted them back, and they've been great. They've been great for the shop. But we will go to 7 days a week effective today. And effective today, we're doubling down on our happy hour. So instead of from 4:20 to 6:20, it's now instead of 4:20 to 5:20, it's now 4:20 to 6:20. So we've doubled it during the
Whoa.
Well, very good. Well,
then-
if you're not paying attention, you heard that first here. The Pony Happy Hour for the first time ever
Double.
is a full
Double.
2 hours.
That is
It's happy hours.
Yeah,
that's a challenge, Dan, and I'm willing to accept it.
and then-
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I mean it's you're the only place. Not many places when they say happy hour literally only mean 1 hour. So I'm glad to. Wow,
some
double
places
happy
have
hour.
sort of tried to replicate what we've done and are doing the 1 hour thing. We're up to 2
Right.
hours. So today is our first Monday being open. So on Mondays moving forward, we're going to do an all day, all night happy hour on Monday and $2 tacos. Just sort of
Wow,
kick
very
things off and see. Business has been okay. It hasn't been great. It's been okay. It was a long summer, It
Yeah.
was a long summer, and August lasted about 6 months, I think. August
Yeah,
August
yeah.
is the slowest
That
month
sounds about right.
for us every year, consistently, and this year was no exception. So, but yeah,
Well, hope thing. Any other? Okay, so we've got 7 days a week, We've got 2-hour happy hour. Is there anything else coming forward? What any other exciting things coming down the line?
Yeah,
for the
we're
pony?
going to do some more proprietary signature events, I think. We just
Nice.
had our
Great.
first event since the pandemic. We had an event last week with JAFB Brewing out of Ohio. They won 2 GABF medals a couple weeks ago.
They're called JFB.
JAFB, Worcester Brewing.
Oh, JAFB.
Yeah.
Okay. What city?
Worcester, Ohio.
Well, Dan, thanks so much for coming on the show. It's wow, I almost feel like we should have made it a 2-parter. There's so
Exactly.
much to
Well,
cover.
listen, now that we have the technology,
We do.
So maybe down the road, I can't
Absolutely.
thank you enough.
After a few months, we can check in and see how all of these new announcements you're making on the show are working
Absolutely.
out. So
Absolutely. I can't thank you enough for having me on. It was great. Thank you for all the support of the Pony Bar over the years. I really appreciate it. It means an awful lot. Hopefully, I'll see you in the flesh sooner than later at some point.
Yeah, we certainly hope so.
Well,
you definitely will. You definitely will. Why am I saying
Yes.
you hope
And-
so? We'll definitely
and-
be there.
I mean, Dan, you really are the source of this whole Beer Avenger adventure. Without you, I don't think that our collective would have come together. So thank
Yeah,
you for
and-
that.
Thank you very much.
And all you have to do is listen to our first 5 episodes to hear like there. I mean, we kept talking about it after that, but like you've been heavily featured in the whole
We
run
really
of this show.
appreciate the support. I'm
And
very proud of the brand. I'm very proud of what we've done. It's been an amazing ride, really. So we wouldn't, like I said, we would never have done it without my employees, my bartenders, and the customers. The guests are what truly make it what it is.
well, if anyone out there is curious about all those episodes I talked about, you can find any of our complete full archive at thebeervengers.com. You can look us up. If you have questions, you can reach out to us at thebeervengers@gmail.com. All the social medias at thebeervengers. Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Beer Wonder.
Thank you so much. For being here.
And look, I think here is Huck to play us out.
With the beer Vengers, beer Vengers, beer Vengers.
We're the Beer Avengers.